Hello everyone. So today, if you are not able to see my face, because I'm sitting exactly in front of the light, and all of that is on purpose, which I can't explain. Today I'm going to talk about my journey into basically quitting non-vegetarian food and making changes in my life based on the things I learned. So when I was 21, when I started basically becoming an adult, and I learned that okay, now I can make changes in my life the way I want to. Okay, so I'm very individualistic like that. So when I was around 21, I started developing ideals, and I didn't decide, but I was coming back to my original roots, which was not wanting to eat meat, not wanting to eat non-vegetarian food. So basically, in the first video in this playlist that I've shared was my experience of the first time that I ate non-veg when I was a kid. So that basic personality of mine, which didn't want to eat that, I could bring that back to life around the age of 21, because at that age I didn't have anyone else, like my parents or anybody, to tell me that you gotta keep doing this, that you gotta keep eating meat just because it's part of your life now. So I kind of like became my own parent, and I decided I'm gonna stop. But I didn't stop right away. So that decision was made, and it took me. I started seeing things around me. Whenever people would, like my family would make non-vegetarian food, whenever I would go out with people, my friends, and have it, and since I was manifesting the ideals for not having that, my body slowly started rejecting a non-vegetarian food. So I didn't make the decision and get into it or jumped into it like most people do. So I have many friends, and like the example I shared in the last one, the uncle, people just jump into it like you are just one day going to be like, no, I'm not going to eat non-vegetarian food, and become a vegetarian now for whatever philosophical or spiritual reason. You cannot do that, because whatever years, number of years that you have been having that, you have built a building, which is your body. So we always hear this thing that body is a temple. Well, it is, and it's a building too. It's not just where you worship God or where God stays. Basically every building, whether it's a corporate building, spiritual building, religious building, it's a temple. I mean, it's a building, so temple is also a building. So every building is built on its blueprints. You have your blueprints, and certain materials are used throughout the years to keep that building up and running. That's what your diet is. So your body is the building, and you've been eating non-vegetarian food for however amount of years that building has been standing, your body has been running, right? So you cannot just one day be like, no, I'm going to quit that, because the building is built on that. So for example, if a building is made up of brick and mortar, the building cannot be like, I'm just going to stop consuming, or I'm going to tell the people who are maintaining, stop applying primer, stop applying, putting mortar or whatever, gravel or whatever material it may be that it is made up of, every time they fix the building. Okay, because food is supposed to be a medicine. So the building cannot say that. So similarly, a person cannot be like, no, I'm going to change, and it comes from outside, within sometimes, but it's still outside. When people actually develop the change inside to want to change. But the body is not going to accept that. Same, the building is not going to be like, I'm made up of bricks, and I like mud bricks, and one day I want to be like made up of stone bricks. The building cannot do that. For that, the building will have to go back to whenever was basically had to be, you have to break that building and start making it again. So that's not a healthy process. So all these people who quit non-vegetarian food and decide in their 20s, 30s, whatever, to become vegetarian, to go vegan, whatever, obviously there's going to be a backlash. And when that backlash happens, people usually go back. Yeah, because this is not making big changes in life is a very new thing nowadays, because we are very progressive, uh, Rahu and all that. But not everybody can do that. Okay, because you have to be stubborn. Not everybody has that. I've said this, I'll keep following this. Not everybody's like that nowadays. Luckily I am, but even when I wanted to become that, I didn't become it because I was saying that, because I wanted to become vegetarian, that I saw the goods and bads. Because there are goods and bads in both sides. So for example, if you build your building being a vegetarian, so you've been a vegetarian all your life, and then you develop some deficiency, and we've seen people like that too, that have had having a vegetarian diet all their life, and then they start eating, like they have iron deficiency, they'll start eating eggs and slowly become vegetarian or whatever. So basically you have to have a full complete diet. Your body needs certain nutrients, certain minerals, vitamins, you have to provide them. Okay, and the most common thing when you quit non-veg is meat, because that's B12, that's what you do not get. And most people, you need to do research about where to get B12 from when you quit meat. Okay, there are many sources. So first of all, so let's say eating meat, a flesh of an animal, gives you that B12. Where do you think that B12 comes from? In the animal. So basically, the animal is made up of flesh. You are made up of flesh. So if his flesh somehow has B12, and you have to outsource this, where for him it's insourced. What do you think is wrong with you that your body is not producing it in-house? So that's one thing. It's not completely it's not a huge science. I'm not talking scientific, I'm talking philosophical more than being detail oriented and scientific. So you can be like, you're not being scientific because I'm not trying to. But I will keep that in mind as my limitation as per what I'm saying. Eventually it will be clear. So, for example, most people who eat meat don't really eat omnivorous animals. So for example, if you've been a non-vegetarian, you're like, omnivorous, I can eat whatever I want, humans are supposed to, that's what we drive, that's where we get protein from, yada yada yada. All that shit is real, but it's so basically people have this bubble, and you have your own philosophy, your own knowledge. But like Khalil Gibran, who in his book The Prophet says that your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Your pain is the bitter portion within yourself. It is the physician within yourself with that bitter portion healing yourself. So it hurts. So when we think the world is like this, and it's like this, and it's like this, but then you realize something different, okay? So you're like a cricketer or a baseball player, and you know how to hit the ball. But sometime the person will give you a curveball, and you'll be like, whoa, I didn't know that was possible. Then you get jumbled. So you have more to grow. You realize that, and you become humbled. So when certain bubbles burst, that's what bursting bubbles is all about, you have to grow into a bigger bubble. You have to expand your knowledge. So whenever you are humbled, shown down, do not see it as a bad thing. You are in the place, an opportunity, and ready to grow and learn more. So similarly, we have these enclosed understandings, which is good because it's healthy to have a bubble. Because if you're open, you have a source, but you do not have a end. It's a very unstable life. You might be a crazy person. To be calm and collected, you have to have bubbles, but eventually either you have to grow. Sometimes people do not grow out of bubbles, sometimes they bubble inward. That's when they close their minds to new philosophies and shit like that. Learning more, basically. Why? Because they become more egocentric and less humble, knowing that I do not know everything. Let's hear what this is all about or that is all about. Trying to gain more knowledge through conversations, through experiences, learning about each other's experiences. So with um, food, how that works is people who've never made a conscious change in their life considering diet, and they have a stable a stable diet, ahar is a Hindi word, then you are healthy basically because you have a stable thing. So for example, if you go every day consistently to the gym or work out consistently, you are going to be healthy and more active and an athletic person. If you do one day you're doing this, other day you're doing this, between couple months you are having no time, not working out and just bulking up, and then obviously you're taxing your health, which is going to harm you later on in life when you're older. So it is overall for health, it is much better to stick to one thing. So even if it's meat eating, stick to it. Okay, now I cannot promote that. Basically, I'm not promoting shit. I'm not selling philosophy. I'm not trying to get people to become vegans because I'm selling some products. No. So why I do this is because to let people know what's what, because I've been through that. So when you change from one to another, there's a reason for change, and that reason is because, okay, you've done enough of listening to others. Because like in my example, like I said, I was a meat eater throughout my life, meaning my life being from when I was like 2 till I was like 21, and that was basically my Saturn Mahadasha overall. Anyways, that's a Vedic astrology thing. And as soon as I came out of that, I started thinking for myself and decided to make that change. But it took about 2 years for me to actually get into that. Until then, I went through things. So anything I would say I cannot eat, and this is like manifestation and all that stuff. You tell yourself, you affirm or defirm. Okay, that's not the right word, but whatever you tell your mind, it does it for you. And sometimes for people, when it's strong, for example, if people are learning more stuff but they're emotionally not ready to handle that, then there will be reactions. And that's what happens when someone old, wise, knowledgeable tries to tell you something, you're like, that shit is garbage. Older people try to tell you something, wise people, your parents try to tell you, make sense to you, to like, don't do this, you're feeling this now but it will go away eventually, this is not for the greater good, look into the long term or whatever, that kind of stuff. They do that, but they do not realize that you have to make mistakes, go through your own experiences about the same thing that they have gone through, right? So it's all a trying to make other people do one thing or your thing. It's a pointless fight, and this is where people lose time and energy and effort, which you could have applied in much better and how can I put this, projects or things that you really want to do. So for example, coming back to the diet and making the whole change, when I made the change, it actually happened to me. So I stopped as first, it happened in basic form, so I became health conscious. So I was like, am I lactose intolerant? And I was like, yeah, I'm lactose intolerant. Why? Because overall, all in my life, my stomach has been bad. My health is not completely great. I mean, I'm fit most of the time. You'll never see me completely fat or completely skinny and weak, except for now. But yeah, I'll always be fit one way or another. But I've always had like a bad stomach, and that comes from my debilitated Jupiter in 6th and those things. You need to know astrology and those type of things that are written down for you. That's what astrology will tell you, your power. So you might have like, I have the power to change the world, I do not give a fuck about what's written in astrology or whatever. Well, if you have the power, even that can be seen. Okay, so for example, if you do not believe in astrology or anything that comes with belief, it's like that thing itself will show how much you are into philosophies and beliefs. So, for example, there's a quote by Arthur C. Clarke that goes that I do not believe in astrology, something like that, not exactly. I do not believe in astrology. I'm a Sagittarius. We're very skeptical. And there's another quote that says, and this is about money making, and the actual application of astrology is that millionaires do not believe in astrology, but billionaires do, and they even use it. Because, like, here's the thing: whenever you have some knowledge, it's a common thing, it's a very healthy thing to use it for productivity. Why would you go get lost in that knowledge and be like, I learned this and it's like money is evil, all that? You're becoming too much spiritual or whatever. So the thing is, once you learn how astrology works, and astrology is not like this is your written life, those predictions, and this is how it's going to be. No, it's a blueprint. You can do whatever you want. You can always do whatever you want, but how much you will be that, like, will you be the type of person that actually goes and has the guts and the balls to do what you want, or you will always feel like I want to do this, I want to do this, but your entire life you would be listening to someone who, okay, makes sense, maybe I should shouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. It doesn't matter how strongly I feel that I will succeed in whatever that is. So that metal that comes in you, that can be seen through astrology. Okay, whether you will do it or not, prediction wise, that also can be seen through astrology. But consent, that decision is always with you. It's just that how easy you're giving your consent to some, all the detail oriented stuff is astrology, the rest is all you. Okay, so I end up talking about astrology again. So coming back to diet, people at a late age change and they like, okay, I'm not getting B12, I'm not getting this or that vitamin from, and there are issues with, now, and they're trying to do this, it's a propaganda because they want you to keep eating meat, because they put money into that, because they synthetically breed, and they have been people at, let's say, economically higher places, powerfully, politically, and otherwise, they have invested money in breeding people. So people with poultry farms, they do not want people to become vegan. Why? Because their business is not getting the customers now. So as the numbers of people who are vegetarians, vegans increases, people won't eat meat anymore. So what will those businesses have to do? Change their meat eating. Oh, we're not into meat, we're into plant-based meat, which is still synthetic food. So when you are eating meat, you are eating not real natural animals that were born naturally. You are eating animals that were forced. So for example, if a bull who is like made in a way, very muscular, very high in testosterone and good quality sperm, the owner will profit off of his sperm, giving it to other men to put it into their calves and have babies. So they breed these things. It's a business. Okay, so those lives, those people that you cut, the cattle that you cut, they are literally made to go in your stomach. And an ignorant fool will be like, well, then that's not cruelty because they are born to feed my stomach. Well, that's the root of evil. You want someone to be alive just to end up in your dinner plate, man. And what's more evil than that? Well, anyways, so it's not evil exactly. So remember, when I was in my last video, when I talked about virginity, I made a little bit of mistake, which was when I was talking about body, mind, and spirit. I compared, and because that was a basic video, I compared the spirit with the soul. So the spirit and soul are different things. Soul is you. So many people will be like, some people are like, who the fuck cares about soul? We don't even know where it's in our body. Well, in our body, your body is it's your extension attachment. to this world. So the soul is you. You have a body. Okay, you are not the body. You are the soul who has a body. Okay, so when spirit is something else, so it's like energy. So like I said, demons are, I don't know if I've put that part out, but basically I said that demons are like parasites, and you who gets possessed are like the host. So you can have an evil spirit or a good spirit in you. So when you hear prophets say like, okay, like Krishna, always keep your mind on me, think about me, be in devotional service, think about me, you are having that good spirit, like spirit of Mother Mary, spirit of Krishna or Christ. You have that good consciousness, godly spirit in you. People who do bad action, bad things, bad because it's the other polarity, negative side of it, they have evil spirits. So for example, people who eat a lot of meat, drink a lot of alcohol, it's tamasic. Okay, it's destructive energy more, and nowadays destructive energies are a lot more powerful. That's why sex, that's why meat eating, that's why focusing more on the flesh, not on the what's on the inside, is more prevalent nowadays. Even people who are into spirituality will know this, and they will be like, okay, I have to focus on materialistic health, because a healthy soul lives inside a healthy body, right? So you cannot be completely detached from the world and be spiritual like that. You cannot. You have to focus on body too, which is the materialistic part of it. Anyways, so going back to the confusion, the mistake that I made in my last video was comparing the spirit and the soul. So the spirit is, like I said, we are people, we are our body is an accumulation. We have accumulated this body, or accommodated this body. So our soul is inside this body, but our body, like I said, it's a host. It's hosting your soul, because your soul is in. So what happens, that host can have parasites. These are the demons. These are the worms that get up in your ass and intestines. Like what are those worms called? Like, people have those worms, like a tapeworm, that consume all the food that you eat, and people get more and more hungry because you have a tapeworm, and that food is not really being consumed by you, it's being consumed by the tape. So it's like the parasite. It's like, that is what demons and possessions basically are. So what happens with your spirit is like imagine your body like a cup. Okay, it's a cup, it's a vessel, like a glass, and inside a glass you can pour milk, you can pour water, you can pour melted gold, you can pour watermelon juice, or you can pour alcohol, you can pour poison. Good or bad, depends on how you see it. So similarly, our body, we already have a soul, we are already alive, but the things that we do, you eat more sattvic food, the spirits that will be inside your body, that are not you, because you are the soul, but the spirits you're calling, which is the energy, that will be good spirits. When you drink more, when you eat meat, you have evil spirits. And most people who, like, you're not a complete evil spirit just because you eat meat, because you're, first of all, you're not eating someone, you're not murdering them, someone else is doing the killing for you. Okay, so the act of sin is like credited alone to someone else. You're eating the dead body part, you're cleaning it, etc., etc., and you're not just eating meat, you're also eating a little bit of veggies and salad and on the side. And here's another thing about meat eating: you can never see fruit. I can eat like an apple directly, I can eat. Tomatoes not so much, I eat it, but other people don't. But you cannot eat because it doesn't have a taste and whatever. But fruits, you can directly eat that. A cucumber, I can eat a plain cucumber. Okay, I can eat not vegetables, but some vegetables also you can eat directly like that. But meat, you're not going to eat it raw. Even with all the cleaning and taking out the blood, you're not going to eat it. You have to fry it, you have to put sauce and all that shit. Why you have to do that? Because it becomes consumable. So naturally, do not tell me about humans are supposed to eat meat because that's our natural diet, yada yada. That's all bullshit. because you need so much processing to do that food, just to do to that food, just to make it palatable and digestible. Otherwise, meat like that, blood oozing out, pus and all the bacteria oozing out of the fish that you're eating, that's not palatable. You're not going to be like all that shit. All those meat eaters, they'll be like, fish, crab and lobster and all that shit. If you actually see them in their natural habitat, like you eat a goat, most people eat pork, right? Look at pigs. They literally eat their own shit. Sometimes, like in the mud, they shit in the same place that they snuff the and suck the mud out of, and all the food they shit in those same places. So they literally eat their own shit, and that's the animal that you're eating. Okay, so anyways, so the point is, in their natural habitat, they are not palatable. You won't look at a goat in its natural habitat shitting right where, like, he's eating the grasses and then he's going on shitting on grasses and then going forward and eating more grass. Because these animals, they're animalistic. They're not like us. Because we are humans. We shit in a different place. We do not eat where we shit. Okay, just say in Hindi we say, uh, you know, basically the plate that you eat, you do not shit in, or you don't have a hole in it. So जिस थाली में खाते हो उसी थाली में छेद type of thing. So that's Hindi. So basically, you don't shit where you eat. You do not eat where you shit, because you're a human and you have different places for different activities. But most of the animals do not. Okay, and that's one thing. So eating meat is not a human thing, as a good healthy human thing. Okay, so if you have that, I need to, because you have been eating all your life, so that building is made on that. So when you quit for like a 50 days, 70 days, 2-3 months, 90 days, whatever, that body is like really calling out, because all that meat is like, need more, because yo, what the fuck, you stopped supplying what we were getting on a weekly basis or a daily basis. So the body goes into fight or flight mode. The body asks for, so that's why people go back in the initial stage, where if you powered through, just hold on a little bit and became stubborn, like, I do not always listen to my body, sometimes the body has to listen to me. When you do that, then you are able to make that change, and then the body is like, okay. And if you have enough life force energy, the body will follow you. Okay, otherwise most people just, they cannot quit, because they do not have the mind power to do whatever they really want. Okay, so not everybody can do that. So people who quit meat and then they go back, a lot of people do that. And yes, it's pussy, it is, because not, but then again, you're not supposed to be that tough. You might be tough in other ways. Many meat eaters, they're very strong, you know what I'm saying, because that gives you the strength, of course, no doubt, because you're made up of flesh and muscles are flesh and you're putting on more flesh. So definitely, but you try to do something good, that flesh is not going to help you. It will always take you into those bad type of things. You eating meat a lot, you'll be into pleasures of the flesh. That's what we call sex. When you look at a woman or a man in like good body, good ass, good whatever, those are pleasures of the flesh. You are not into the spirit, because the things that you are eating are not life, good, sattvic, healthy, positivity. You are eating negativity, you are eating murder, you are eating death. Which is, by the way, I'm not demonizing anyone, but if you are saying that meat is right, then I have to let you know what's what. Okay, so I mean, right, it's okay. So for you, it might not be your thing to quit. Okay, but if you're like, why do people make these changes? Because they have the balls. Not everybody has. Some people just have the balls. Some people have the understanding and then they quit, and some people know so much but do not have the balls, so they never do. And those are the ones suffer most, because knowledge is like sometimes a weight. Knowledge is not always a good thing. To know what is wrong but still not being able to do something about it. So for example, if in society something bad is happening and you keep witnessing that, but you are not strong enough to make the change. Imagine someone you love is being physically and abused, like hit and violated and whatever, but you cannot help them physically or in any other way because you are weak. Yeah, that's how living, like knowing something, witnessing, having the knowledge of something and not being able to do anything about it. So that's worse than having balls and not knowing anything. So these people who change and then they go back, they have the balls to change, they don't have the knowledge. Luckily, I have enough of knowledge and enough of balls when I have to apply it, and then I learn more. Anyways, so yeah, that's the whole thing. I took 30 minutes just to say that. There's a little bit more. I'll only take like 6 or 10 max minutes to talk about this. But yeah, so when you quit eating non-veg, you do not have to demonize what you've left before. So people always do this. Like when you go through a breakup, you have to tell yourself that person was bad, but there was also good in that person that you saw when you fell for that person, the things that you actually liked about that person. But you have to go through the process to be like, nah, this is why we did not end up getting together, being together, whatever, or I have to let that person go because of these are the things we do not match on, etc. You have to tell that to yourself, and that is also true. There is truth in there too. Okay, so it's the same with making changes in your life in the sense of eating food. It's like some people tell themselves, no, meat eating is good. Some people go back to those philosophies because they have to tell themselves that. It's like, tell yourself whatever makes you sleep at night peacefully. Okay, so if you tell yourself that I'm happy when everything is crashing around you just to be able to sleep, I mean, because that's what your bubble is. That's your healthy sanctuary. That's your paradise. Okay, and when a serpent comes in a paradise, like the evil serpent in Garden of Eden, then it's actually a good thing because people see that as the devil and the sin and but the thing is, when that bubble bursts, you get to know more. There's more knowledge, but it's growth, and you are introduced to hurt and pain. So the path of pain is knowing that you do not know everything. This is your outer shell of understanding, your bubble, and when that breaks, you have outer bubbles with larger radiuses and diameter. So you grow in so those are your limitations, and your limitations grow, and you keep breaking these bubbles. So not everybody can handle the red pill. Not everybody, like Neo, can know the secret of the matrix, like this is what life is, because it's traumatic for some people who do not have the emotional metal, like I can handle that. No, you cannot. So, and it's like that. It's not exactly that, but it's like that when it comes to knowing why meat eating is a limited, like when you tell yourself that this is good, you are limiting yourself, which is okay for you, nothing bad. We often tell ourselves things to maintain our sanctity, to maintain our health, to maintain our whatever. So it's like, I feel like I'm not good at this, I'm not feeling good at this job. I mean, I'm earning enough or whatever, but I feel like I want to change. People are like, if you're not getting any raise, if you're happy at the job and okay, don't change. And be like, yeah, you're right. Okay, because it's healthy to be stable much more than to change all the time. But making that change once and sticking to it is much healthier, because especially if the change is a good change and you know it is a good change, then keep with it. But people go back, and that's like relapsing. Okay, so you've been smoking crack, smoking some drug or cocaine, whatever, and then you quit completely. You go sober, you go cold turkey. That's not healthy. Okay, but because eventually you're going to relapse. Okay, so you're going to be like Eminem, and Eminem, when he released his relapse album, the amount of accents he was doing when he became sober after his recovery album, he was like, I didn't even know that was me. I don't even remember recording those songs. I was so high because after quitting his drug addiction, he relapsed. So quitting completely is not. So for people who go from meat eating lifestyle to vegetarian directly, you cannot do that. you have to eat in chunks. You have to quit it slowly. So for example, if you're eating all kinds of meat, go back to what religion you are coming from. What basically in your religion, what is the staple meat there, or more easier, or financially, whatever matters to you more, whether it's your motherland and those philosophies, or whether it's finances. If you're like all about money, then eat the meat that is cheaper and easier to find in your locality. Quit the other luxurious, which are like harder to find or expensive. Quit those, start with those. Do that for a couple years, see the changes that, and don't just quit. Okay, so that's another thing. When you quit, you relapse. Why? Because you did not replace it. So for all these people who develop deficiencies, or like for example B12 deficiency, you have to replace that with something else. Okay, and it's because B12, there are so many vitamins, like proteins itself. Protein is like very important, right? Is people are like, where do you get your protein from? You're vegan, you don't drink milk, you don't eat. Where do you get your protein from? There are all kinds of proteins and all forms of it that you can eat. It's just that certain forms you can get mostly through meat, but there are options for that too in the vegetarian vegan world. You just have to know more, research more. So people ask me like, okay, what is the alternate for B12 in vegan food? Well, I'm not a know-it-all person. I've known it what it is. I just sometimes I cannot right away I cannot give because I haven't gone through that. I do not have a B12 deficiency even after quitting meat. Not that I know of. Okay, so I cannot tell you something. Someone who has filled that gap will do it. So you have to fill that gap. So okay, so if a building one day is like, okay, I cannot lose all my mud bricks. I cannot become stone brick because I'm already a building, and I do not want to break that building because you want to maintain your health. I'm speaking in an analogy form. So your body you have built, you want to keep it, but you're making the change from non-vegetarian to vegetarian. So obviously, if you are muscular, you will need to eat those amount of protein and calories. So count your calories, but change slowly. Like I said, first eat more staple meats, eat more, start coming slowly towards vegetarian food, and then don't just quit anything, find replacement for it. Okay, so for example, when you quit smoking, you use a nicotine patch, right? Yeah, so similarly, or chewing gums or whatever. So similarly, you have to replace it with something that is not. So smoking is a habit, it's bad for our lungs, but you still have that addiction because nicotine is an addictive. So nicotine patches and chewing gums like that. So you keep getting what your body is, which is easier because the body is like, okay, I'm getting what I need for maintaining the way it is and maintaining the health. If you quit it completely, it's not gonna work. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's the same thing about meat eating. You cannot completely quit it just because you got the balls. Like one day, like I'm going to do it, and I'm so stubborn I won't quit. And you can do that too if you're a really stubborn person. You can see that type of person if you look into someone's chart. Like me, I'm Rahu ascendant. I have independent thought. I'm very individualistic the way I am in my personality, my philosophies. I develop my own shit, my own ways of thinking, and I'm stubborn too. Okay, but luckily I also have the knowledge. Okay, I do not know it all, but I'm also humble enough to admit that I do not know it all, and at times that is actually the bubble breaking and chances for knowing more. Okay, so that's the whole thing about quitting meat and going vegetarian, and this is done for a lot of reasons. And here's the thing, it's all about the practice, what kind of practice, and more spirit related. Okay, so even people who eat, like I said, people who eat, you do not like, first of all, it's not palatable to eat raw meat. That's one thing. Second, even people who eat non-veg also eat vegetables, so they have evil spirit. Yes, meat is evil spirit. Yes, alcohol is evil spirit, which is okay, which is not bad, because we have all kinds of spirits and we need them sometimes. So we have all these spirits inside us. Okay, and that's a healthy balance. So for example, if you have 50 tamasic food, 50% sattvic food, or whatever, or 30-30-40, something like that. You keep that balance, okay, because that's much healthy. You cannot go like 90% sattvic, 10%, 9% rajasic, and 1 little% tamasic in one day, because Rome wasn't built in one day. Your body's not going to, because you've been eating tamasic food. What is tamasic food? Food that is very late, uh, like processed food, first of all, which already takes raw food energy out. Then it has been heated multiple times, overcooked food like brownies, and yeah, and then eating that microwave. People like freezing their food and eating like after 10 hours the next day or whatever. That has no prana energy. That food is completely tamasic, okay, even if at one point it was sattvic or rajasic. So you might have like people eat these salads and all these vegetables like so sattvic. No, you have it fried in oil. You kill its natural nutrients, and then you eat it late or whatever. And even the timing of eating is important. Even the emotional state, your energy is like, if you've just had an argument, you know how people are like at the dinner table, they haven't, you see this in movies or whatever, people at the dinner table had an argument, walked away, like, I don't want to eat anymore. That is good. Why? Because if you eat in that state, it develops an eating disorder, where you're like, then you become like, whenever later on you get anxiety or you get pissed, you eat. So I'm a compulsive eater. I eat when I'm mad. All that shit comes because when you were eating and someone made you mad, you kept eating. So you should stop. So this is how the world works, okay. So this is how manipulation also works. Takes certain, if you watch those type of movies, if people want to so for example, there's this very R-rated movie called Old Boy. I think it's Korean movie, Korean or Japanese, Korean I think, and it's not for everyone, okay, but I've watched all kinds of movies, so yeah, by the way, that movie is really not for everyone. But yeah, so what they do in that movie is, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who actually wants to watch it, but in that movie, the person who is manipulating the main guy, he uses certain tricks for his brain, because these are subconscious things, and then that person thinks that that's what really is, starts believing that type of stuff. I cannot be specific, but yeah, you watch the movie, and in the end, when it's all revealed how they did it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So when you do certain things, and there are certain other things in the background, so you're consciously doing something, but your subconscious mind is like, you hear this voice. So for example, every time you get mad in your office, which is like, let's say, a very calm place, but every time you have an argument with someone, there's a, let's say, a doorbell, someone is constantly ringing that doorbell, so it becomes a subconscious tick, okay. I don't know the exact name for it, but yeah, so that repeating and repetition is the key to subconscious mind, and subconscious mind is the power of the subconscious mind. You might have heard that title is the title of a book, because subconscious mind is the feminine, which has Shakti. Shakti is feminine, Shiv is masculine. So the power is in subconscious mind to change your life or whatever. So if you're doing something consciously, but in the background something is going on repeatedly, and every time you do this, that is there, one day when that comes, you will do this. This is how people manipulate consciously. This is, anyways, I won't get into them, but if you know this kind of shit, so you have to use that everywhere. If you know something, you should try to use that knowledge everywhere until you understand, okay, this is the limitation of that thing, okay, this does not work here. Then you can move on from that. So I've been that kind of a person. So when, the same thing with food, when you are eating food and then you have arguments around you, people always quarreling, your family is not, whoever you eat with is not good, the next time you get into an argument with your girlfriend or whatever, whoever, then you will be like, I want to eat, because you're a conscious eater, because the other side is calling you now, like, okay, I've always had arguments in the background when I've been eating, so one day when argument comes out of nowhere, you're like, okay, where's the food? I need to complete this union, because you're used and conditioned to do that. So same thing happens. And food is the same thing as conditioning. It's physical because it's your body, because your body has been outsourcing these things like protein and B12, not insourcing. So about outsourcing and insourcing is one very important thing. So first of all, most meat eaters eat meat of not carnivorous animals. You eat meat of domestic animals. So chicken, all the fowl, pigeon, chicken, all the fowls that you eat, they are domesticated, because birds are mostly domesticated except vultures and all, or eagle. Then you eat goat, domesticated, cows, domesticated, chicken, same thing. And then we have fish food. You never eat the apex predator, because you are the apex predator. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, so we eat meat of animals who themselves are vegetarians. Okay, so people want to eat deer. Deer eats. We never eat. Oh, I want to eat lion. I want to eat shark. No, I want to eat tuna. So that's the difference. Because so basically, with seafood it's a little bit different. But the animals that you eat, that you think, oh, I'm omnivorous and carnivorous, and we need meat, they themselves do not need meat to survive. Okay. So basically, why? Because the things that they are keeping their body healthy with, they are outsourcing certain things. They're not perfect, so they keep eating too, because you have to outsource something. But whatever they need to uphold their health, they are getting that from vegetarian diet. Because cows, vegetarians; chickens, vegetarians; goats, vegetarians; herbivores basically. Okay, so the animals that you eat themselves are not eating meat. So don't tell me about meat eating is good, because if you go at the source is herbivorous. You're eating a cow, the cow is getting the same thing that her body is healthy with from herbivorous diet. Okay, so why do you, who also has flesh, just like the cow, who also can eat the food that cow itself eats, you are outsourcing those things from a cow, from a chicken, from a whatever. So like, why, like, if you have any knowledge about buying, instead of buying from a vendor who sells you at, let's say, something $20, you can go to a wholesaler, or if they have the access, you can go to the maker, the producer himself, and to the production company of whatever product itself, and you can buy from him cheaper, just a little bit more than the cost price to make that product. And that will be like less than half of what you buy at your doorstep or at your closest nearby vendor. Okay, so because there are all these middle people that you have to pay, that derive a profit after each stage. The wholesaler will get more than the producer. The regional vendor will get more. The person that's literally next to your house, your society, your living arrangement, that person will get the most. The people who have more commercial exposure, malls and those, their food will be priced higher. That's how it works, right? So the more middlemen you cut, the lesser you pay for the same shit that you're going to be consuming. Okay, so similarly, the nutrients that your body needs, minerals that your body needs, whatever your body needs, if you go directly to the source. So if a cow is eating herbivorous diet, and you can, since you're omnivorous, you can also eat a herbivorous diet. Whether that's not true, omnivorous thing, but if you can also eat herbivorous diet, why eat the meat of the cow that's getting its good health from that, when you can directly go to the source? Makes sense? But yeah, it's all about form. Okay, so for example, it's because everything is energy, right? And people always consume, oh, you have more food, you have more energy. No, it takes energy, just like it takes money to make more money. This is basic, by the way, if you know how to make money. Then it takes energy to consume energy. So your body naturally have to have the energy to digest food, to eat more food. Okay, that's why people brag about, oh, I eat more, I drink more, I have a larger capacity. because you have that energy to digest more of the same shit that somebody is eating less of in a day or in one meal or whatever. Okay, this is how we brag about, oh, I'm bigger, I'm in quantity, right? I can do more repetitions in any physical activity or whatever. So similarly, when you eat more, you're strong. Why? Not because one way of seeing it, you eat more, you need more energy, so you're weak. No, he can digest more, hence he's strong. Okay, so because he has a bigger body, he has to maintain the bigger weight, the bigger height, or whatever. So it takes energy to digest more energy. Okay, and to digest meat, it takes more energy. So in the long run, if you know that energy is money, literally, you would be, because time is money and energy goes down with time, your life force goes down. That's why the older you get, the older you get, the weaker you get. Physical activities, you cannot do the same things physically that you were able to do when you were younger, right? Because energy has its forms. Energy is out there in universe, but it transforms from potential to kinetic, kinetic to potential. So when you have a fruit, it is potential energy. It's going to stay in that fruit forever, not forever, because eventually with time it will become kinetic. With its environment, it will become rotten or whatever. You freeze it, it stays more potential energy. When you consume it, it is kineticizing. Your saliva itself right away starts breaking it down. So when we eat meat, we have to process it outside. So the digestion process should start here for a healthy person, because you have a healthy digestive system. But when the digestive process is starting outside, then you know you are going to need more breaking down, because this is something that you need to break down more to be easily consumable. So do not tell me again that eating meat eating meat is a thing that humans are supposed to do. I can attack this conversation 1,000 ways. It's just that it's like I have 1,000. I can literally punch you 1,000 times, even though I only have two hands. And it's an analogy. If you are like debating about like just with me, and you are like, no, meat is good, and I'm telling you, no, vegetarian is good. By the way, I do not like taking positions, because I'm not into debates. I'm a Leo ascendant. I'm literally, in my mind, I'm the king. I do judgments. I tell you what it is. I do not do debates, okay? Because arguing and that type of shit that's not my nature. I just give you what's what. So it's like I can punch you with 10 or 100 or 1,000 times, even though I only have, because that's my speed, and that's so many different angles I can come at you from. It's just that you only fight in one direction. You cannot block all that. So obviously you're going to lose. It's just that I cannot do that to you, because it will be, I mean, just because you're strong doesn't mean you and you can attack someone and make them know that you can beat them, doesn't mean you do it, because there's such a thing like mercy, that they're not like, they'll eventually be like, do to fight someone your own size. And I know enough about this type of stuff that I can literally go toe to toe with a person who can actually listen. Otherwise, most people are ignorant about it. They just laugh it off like, yeah, meat eating, we love that shit, we love this, we love that, because you are addicted. You're an addicted person. So if you tell a person, oh, do not smoke, this is bad, well, he's not going to listen to you, because he's in that zone. You're not going to pull him out. You shouldn't be trying. Like me personally, I never, like, you do you, man. I'm like that. It's just that if you try to tell me, like, I don't understand what shit you're into, well, trust me, you do not have the capacity to understand. Even if I broke it down in front of you what it is, you do not have the mental capacity, because you haven't bursted your bubbles, some of your bubbles yet. I have, or it just happened to me. Okay, so yeah, but there shouldn't be such a thing that I'm better than you, or you. That is for little brain people, okay? And you know there's nobody who's perfect, so you have to keep growing and knowing more, okay? And just like Knowledge is also energy, by the way, so you have to apply it. So when you just know something and you do not do it, it's potential energy. You have the potential, but the potential deteriorates. So the older you get and you do not achieve your dreams and you're not successful in that, that potential that you have, that's why we say, oh, he has a lot of potential, right? You can see it in him, but he's never doing shit. His potential goes down. It becomes kinetic because he does other things that he's not really supposed to do. He wouldn't be happy doing. Is not his life's purpose, but he's doing it, she's doing it something else, because life and responsibilities and duties, and you never do what you want to do in life because your energy is becoming kineticized and used in other ways. So when you eat food, it starts digesting right away here. Raw food, this is where digestion process should start, not in the kitchen. That's why we say eat more healthy. How? Eat less processed food. Okay, so that's the basic. Does not mean you shouldn't eat good, well cooked meals if you have that. And this is the thing about food, health is not everything. You have to look at taste, you have to look at texture. Okay, so meat, you have to eat it in a way that you can actually chew it, not raw, because you do not have the teeth to chew it. A lion, even though he cannot use utensils and tools and pick it up and he can burn it, he can consume it, because for him eating flesh, digestion starts here. For us, it starts in the kitchen. Even in the kitchen, it starts with breaking down the bones, ripping off the skin, cleaning the meat, washing the blood off, then separating the bones and all that, and then the cooker. Then we have to burn it, and then we have to put so much oil, so much sauce, so much little vegetables that we've cut and sauteed or whatever, and you have to marinate. So it's a whole process. Why? Because the process starts outside. Why? Because your stomach cannot process it completely. You have to outsource the process itself. So you're not only outsourcing the protein from some another animal who itself is a vegetarian. You're not only outsourcing what you're eating from him, you're also outsourcing the breaking down, the digesting part. So this is why meat eating is not okay for humans. I've literally broken it down to you, but if you still want to be ignorant, Jai Shri Ram. I'm kidding, but this is what it's all about. So people do not know these things, they do not see it like that. That's why I post like a third eye in my Instagram. I keep, because I see more things. Okay, and many people do. People who actually quit and stay with it, they are gifted and they know it. Luckily, I'm one of those, and I'm going to stay on my path. I know if tomorrow the world crumbles, I'm not going to go back to eating meat. Okay, so I'm not like some alien. I get cravings too. So initially when I quit, 4 months after, that's the hardest part. After 4 months, the cravings go crazy and it comes back. Like now I think about, what if I go back to eating meat? I can always do that, right? But then I laugh at myself like, yeah, not gonna happen. So yeah, that's the whole thing. I have taken one whole hour. I might just, I don't know, I won't come back to this topic again unless I miss something, right? Then I'll, because nowadays people have less shorter attention spans. So I don't know, I'll make a very short video. But yeah, I'm not going to touch this topic. And for upcoming videos, I will make more videos that are not connected to astrology if possible. And also I'll make more introductory videos for people who are being, like, all the videos that I've promised in astrology, that planets, zodiac signs, I'm going to make those very soon. So yeah, I hope nobody's offended or whatever. You take this in the right mindset, and I hope I've helped a couple people at least break their bubbles down. Thank you. See you next time.